Hello and welcome back to Off the Post. In today's episode, I'll be discussing whether or not Brighton can continue their winning ways against Tottenham Hotspur. But before that, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very much appreciated, and it goes a long way with me build a small community on my channel. We've recently just hit 305 subscribers, and I just want to say a massive thank you because we're on our way to getting my main target 500. Can we go and smash it? Hopefully, we can. And yeah, just want to say a massive thank you for the recent support on our most recent episodes, all the likes and the comments on social media as well. Definitely need to go unnoticed. And yeah, let's get straight into the episode, shall we? Now, Tottenham host Brighton at the weekend, okay? And for me, this is a massive game for both teams, isn't it? Because it's obviously the return of Roberto De Zerbi. Now, for me, obviously, he's been a fantastic manager everywhere he's been. At the moment, he needs to get it right for Tottenham Hotspur, and he did lose his first game against Sunderland 1-0, didn't it, last weekend? So from that point of view, it was a little bit disappointing. And you got to think to yourself now, with Brighton being in such amazing form at the moment, winning their last 3 games out of the 5, in the Premier League, absolutely amazing result because they're currently sitting in 9th place, okay, on 46 points, and they're only 1 point behind Chelsea in 6th. So if they potentially go and win this game against Tottenham Hotspur, get all 3 points, they could potentially be in the top 6 race, if you like, almost potentially for European football. For me, I don't think that is realistic. I don't think this Brighton team will go and do that because they are very hit and miss, aren't they? They do go on some good run form here and there. They do have purple patches, and then they also drop off as well and don't really do anything for a few weeks here and there. So it is a very unexperienced side, isn't it, Brighton? They've got a lot of youth players at their disposal. Don't get me wrong, they do have a few additional experienced players, but probably not at the top level to get you, top 6 Champions League football, Europa League football just yet. They're probably like 2 or 3 players off of that anyways. But for me, I really do like the manager, his style of play. In the last game against Burnley, winning 2-0, it was Matt's FIFA who came up with the goods, really, wasn't he? Scoring 2 goals, the midfielder. He was looking so impressive after like a 16-month drought of not scoring for Brighton. It does go to show that these sort of players can sort of come in for Brighton, these hidden gems, if you like, can sort of come in and perform when the manager needs them to. Because for me this season, I haven't really seen FIFA come in that much and sort of impress. But when you need him to, he can sort of come in and fill in for that role when you've got certain players out injured or not in the squad for whatever reason. So from that point of view, they also beat Liverpool as well recently. I think it was like, what, 2-1, I'm pretty sure. Daniel Welbeck scored 2 goals. And then they beat another team 1-0 as well, didn't they? With Minter scoring in the previous game, in the game before the Liverpool one. So from that point of view, they are picking up some good results recently, Brighton. And for me, at the moment, when we think about whether or not they can beat Tottenham Hotspur, you've got to say to yourself, Brighton are the favourites, just because winning 3 games in a row, back to back to back, is so impressive. The manager has got this team working so hard, off the ball, on the ball. The way they just press the opposition, the way they can sort of create their own chances from pressing high up the pitch, and also sort of scoring from those counter-attacking plays as well. Just not, you know, doing the pressing, even though the pressing is an important part of it. You know, they've got so many assets, so many different ways of scoring this Brighton side. Don't get me wrong, because they play so high up the pitch, they can get caught out, and that can lead to mistakes for the opposition side to go on and counter attack themselves and score the goals. And that's probably where Tottenham Hotspur will try and pick them apart, try and almost score them the goals themselves. Maybe Roberto De Zerbi will potentially look at this Brighton side and think to themselves, if they can sort of just wait for the counter attack, potentially go on and score down the other end with the likes of Xavi Simons, Kudus if he's back from his injury, Solanke, all these types of players. Maybe maybe they can have some luck down that side. But for me at the moment, Brighton are in a fantastic position. Okay, when we think about that overall season, whether or not when we think about the overall season, where will they finish? I think ninth is a good place for them, just because at the moment, when we think about their overall squad, I do like them, the defence. It can be a bit shaky here and there sometimes. Maybe they do need another, solid centre back in there. Maybe they do need another, solid defensive midfielder. Obviously when we talk about Carlos Baleba, this season hasn't been his best season, has it, overall? He hasn't really, shined like he did last season at least. Anyway, there's not really been that many eyes on him. He was linked to like £80 million moves to Manchester United and Arsenal and Liverpool, all these types of clubs last season, and he didn't get his move, and now he's sort of, I don't want to say capitulated, but he just hasn't really performed to his best, has he, really, Carlos Baleba? Let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree with that take. Let me know in the comments below, Brighton fans. How do you feel about Carlos Baleba? How do you feel about the likes of James Milner being the oldest ever, Premier League midfielder as well? We've got to speak about him. We've got to speak about Danny Welbeck. We've got to speak about, for me, Danny Welbeck. Let's just speak about Danny Welbeck quickly. He's having a season of his life, isn't he? He's scored like what? Well, maybe I think it might be 14 goals at this point. He might be I think he still is the highest English. I think he still is the highest English Premier League, player with the most goals this season, isn't he? So for me, when we think about him versus like the likes of maybe a Dominic Calvert-Lewin for that second striker spot for England, I think it has to be Danny Welbeck at this point, because he's consistently picking up numbers, and if he can do it against Tottenham Hotspur, obviously his almost former rival playing for Arsenal back in the day, years and years ago now, maybe he will try and want to try and get some revenge on them as well. That could be a good game for Danny Welbeck, but for me, I think maybe finishing it in either 7th, 8th or 9th is a good, respectable position for Brighton, and I feel like that's the highest they probably can go, is a 7th. I can't really see them getting that much higher, but even then, if they get a 7th, that's Conference League football, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. So for me, if Brighton can go on and achieve that, they're only 1 point behind Brentford and Everton in there, so it is pretty good. 2 points behind Chelsea as well. So from that point of view, it is very close. They could potentially get Champions League football. They could potentially get top 6 football. However, I can't see that happening. Let me know in the comments down below, Brighton fans. Is that a little bit unrealistic, top 6 this season? And if we talk about Tottenham Hotspur just quickly, let's end the video on Tottenham Hotspur. Losing against Sunderland the way they did, conceding that goal the way they did, that deflection, that was so embarrassing from the whole squad, okay? Just because, obviously the midfielders didn't close the forward down quick enough. The defenders didn't do the same either. They was playing such a high line to try and, get back into the game. After that, they was picking up injuries here and there. They was picking up red cards, but there was no red cards in this game, was there actually? They was picking up injuries here and there. Obviously, Romero now is pretty much out for the whole season. I don't know whether that's a blessing in disguise or not. Let me know in the comments down below, Tottenham fans. Do you think missing Christian Romero is actually a blessing in disguise, just because, we know how reckless he is. We know how, he likes to fly into a tackle. You know how many red cards he's picked up this season. When he's meant to be the captain of your club to get you out of this mess, he's just not done it, has he? Christian Romero, for me, for whatever reason, on his day, he's a fantastic centre-back. But I feel like he's already checked out of Tottenham Hotspur. He doesn't care if they go down or if they stay up. That's how it just feels. That's how his body language does look like at the moment. I feel like that can be. I think the same can be said for a lot of those Tottenham Hotspur players. Mickey van der Ven, Christian Romero. Who else is there that doesn't look bothered? Xavi Simons. All these types of players. I don't think they care. I honestly just don't think they care, because I feel like they'll probably get big money moves in the summer if they do go down to the Championship. Could you imagine if they do go down to the Championship? Again, I say this every time we talk about Tottenham Hotspur. I don't know what's going to happen, because it's the first time they're in the relegation zones, aren't they? On 30 points, 2 points behind West Ham in 17th, of course. If they get a win over the line, they could be level on points with Nottingham Forest in 16th, as long as they don't get a draw or a victory either. So from that point of view, they do need to get a win on their books, don't they? And for me, will they actually do it this game against Brighton? I'm not too sure. This is probably perfect time for Brighton to play Tottenham Hotspur, aren't they? When they're down and out, when it's doom and gloom, when Roberto De Zerbi has not really had that managerial bounce he probably was expecting. For me, Roberto De Zerbi, we've seen it, it takes him a few games for his side to sort of manage to sort of understand his philosophy, if you like, because when he first came in at Brighton, it did take a little while for him to get going, for his side to get going. When he went into Marseille, it wasn't flow free. It wasn't free flowing football first time, first match either. So was this the right move for Roberto De Zerbi? I'm not too sure. In the grand scheme of things, I feel like next season he would be a fantastic manager, but is he the right man to get you out of this hole right now? I'm not too sure. I don't think he is, just because you need somebody like a Sean Dyche. You need somebody a little bit more defensive to sort of, just manage yourself at the back, keep a clean sheet, and then work on from there. Because at the moment, you're so you're just so pathetic. Honestly, that's one word I can describe. The defending is so abysmal. It's so poor. You play such a high line because you're conceding so many goals to get you the goals back into the game and whatnot, and then you're going on the other end and conceding more goals. It's just it's just not the one, is it, for Tottenham Hotspur? Of course, they only conceded one goal against Sunderland, so you could say to yourself, they played a little bit better uh, than they have in previous weeks. But again, losing to Sunderland side, who have been very good this season, don't get me wrong, but you know, realistically, Tottenham Hotspur on paper do have better players than Sunderland do have, so they probably should be beating them. But again, we've seen it now for the last like 2 or 3 seasons. Tottenham have not been at the races whatsoever, and this is the first time I do actually believe Tottenham Hotspur could get relegated from the Premier League. I honestly do believe that now, but let me know in the comments down below if you agree or disagree. But let's end the video with some questions, okay? How do you feel about Brighton potentially continuing their winning ways against Tottenham Hotspur? How do you feel about some of their players? Mats FIFA, obviously Daniel Welbeck this season, James Milner, Lewis Stunk, Varuga, and all these types of players. How do we feel about them? Who's been their star players this season? Didn't even mention the likes of Minter and Carlos Baleba. How do we feel about, obviously, what's the high position Brighton can finish? Can they catch up to Chelsea in those top 6 positions? Can they potentially get a European football this season? How do we feel about Tottenham as well? How do we feel about the Roberto De Zerbi derby? Him coming back to his old stomping ground in Brighton. Can he potentially get 3 points there? Can he get out of the relegation zone, or will he stay in the relegation zone? Will he potentially get relegated? Was Roberto De Zerbi the right man to take over Tottenham in this time period where they've only got 6 games left to stay in the Premier League? But yeah, before that, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. Goes a long way helping me build a small community on my channel. We've recently just hit 305 subscribers. We're well on our way to getting my main target 500. Can we go and smash it? Hopefully we can. And yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you for the recent support on our most recent episodes, all the likes and the comments on social media as well. Definitely going to notice. And yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you for the support, really, because I love doing these videos and I want to continue these as long as possible, really. But yeah, I really do hope you have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.